Anyways, what's up, y'all? So, most days, Mr. Christian, you there? Welcome back to another video. Sponge the truth. How old every SpongeBob character is? How is old everybody? Like, how old is SpongeBob character is? Who knows? Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, follow our social media, go pop on the screen. It is 7:13 in the morning. I'm up doing videos just for y'all. All I just need y'all to do is just like, comment, subscribe, follow our social media, go pop on the screen. We is on the road to 500. Let's see what's going on with this, man. And also go back to all the other videos. If you didn't watch any
Barnacle
other videos,
Boy is old enough for a senior discount.
if you didn't watch any other videos on the channel, go ahead and everybody go back and double click on the other channels. Go run them up double digits. Run them up double digits. I need a big amount of things. So yeah.
Despite the boy in his name. And Mr. Krabs, how old do you have to be to serve in a war, open a successful restaurant, and still be running it yourself to this day? You see, a while back, I spent an entire video trying to figure out how old SpongeBob is, and I came out the other side with an answer. A weird one, though. But once you've asked that question about one character, then you start looking at Squidward, or Mr. Krabs, or Sandy, and you're gonna start asking the exact same thing. Then you realize they don't have nearly as many clues as SpongeBob does. See, at first I thought this was gonna be a fun little counting exercise. Add up some birthdays, do some math, slap a number on everybody. Roll credits. It was not that. Not even close. Because every single time I pinned down an actual age in this show, I found something behind it I kind of wish I hadn't. So no. Instead of just a video about numbers, you're also gonna see why the show...
Golly. Like 45, 28, mystery, 70, 51. No. Low-key, SpongeBob and Patrick gotta be at least the same age. They grew up together. Carrie gotta be, like, I think by the time this whole show, I think everybody at least gotta be old. Yes. I don't even see Queen.
keeps dodging the answer. So, naturally, we start with the Yellow Man himself. And like I said, I already talked about this one, so I'll keep it quick.
Well, as of today, I am...
Could see his birth date on his driver's license, which is July 14th, 1986. It shows up in Sleepy Time, shows up again in No Free Rides, and then mysteriously, every later version of that license has the birth date wiped off. Almost like somebody at Nickelodeon realized people were doing math. The problem is, if we're assuming Bikini Bottom runs on the same calendar we do up here, then 1986 makes him about 13 when the show starts, which is insane for a guy with his own house. So in the last video, I went a different, unfavorable route to Camp Coral. In the show, he is about 10 years old, and because baby Pearl's still in diapers and Pearl turned 16 in Whale of a Birthday, run that 15-year gap forward and SpongeBob lands somewhere around 25, 26 during the main series. Or you could cut to the chase altogether and just do real math. You'll get 39 if you just count from 1986 to today. Pick whichever one hurts less. And somehow, even though I already spent a whole video just on SpongeBob himself, he is proven to be the easiest one since he has the most clues in this show, unlike the rest of the characters you're about to see. Coincidentally, in the same episode that gave us SpongeBob's license, Sleepy Time, it also flashes Mr. Krabs' driver's license. It writes, Eugene H. Krabs. Born November 30th, 1942, which means when the show premiered in 99, he was 56, pushing 84 these days. A solid boomer number, right? Except 1942. The show tells us over and over that Krabs is a war veteran. He's got the Navy buddies. There's a whole episode where his old crew shows up, and a bunch of them came back wrecked. One's got a torpedo still lodged in him. And then there's the Krusty Krab training video. You know, they say that after the war, crabs fell into a deep depression, and that founding the Krusty Krab was the only thing that pulled them out of it. Now, if we layer the birth date back on, born in 1942, young adult in the 60s and 70s, and the fact that Bikini Bottom supposedly
he was a kid that age. Yeah, he was a kid. He was still living with his mom. No, so he's a little kid. So yeah, Crab's definitely old. At best, Crab is like 70 in my book.
The Marshall Islands, and the timeline they keep landing on is Vietnam. Now, I want to be clear, the show never names a war. This is just me as a fan connecting dots. But the dots connect really well here. Except he might have a second license, because as we see in the episode Mall Girl Pearl, his birth date is changed into September 25th, 1960. Now, I have no idea which one of these licenses is fake. Although, honestly, you would expect someone like Eugene Krabs to have a few fake identities, right? You know, for his shadier little ventures. But according to the second one, it would mean that he was no more than 39 years old when SpongeBob first joined the Krusty Krab, and around 66 years old this year. You see, the first one is more interesting with the whole Vietnam veteran stuff, while the second one is more believable for the modern timeline. If anything, the two license thing might just be Nickelodeon's way to keep Krabs' age floating somewhere in that 50s to 60s range. So yeah, let's just say the old man's pushing 60. But speaking about Krabs and his undying love of money, here's the freebie that comes bundled with him: Plankton. You see, Plankton and Krabs go way back. As Friend or Foe tells us, the two of them were childhood best friends at Poseidon Elementary.
Yep, they was. Sure was. And all because they got into it over the formula.
So whatever age Krabs is, Plankton is basically the same. Call it early 50s, give or take, which is impressive. You know, considering he's just a single-cell organism. Though I got a feeling that Plankton is a few years younger. It's just maybe because of his size or the way he talks. Yeah, I don't know. Just a hunch, which also means these two have been at war with each other for more than 30 years.
Shoot, years. Like, God, since I was a little kid, bro. Like, playing every time, felt every time. In any plot, they give Plain, he always felt it. Don't know why. He got worse plot on him. I'm not gonna hold you.
Over a recipe. One guy got a burger joint, a daughter, and depression. The other guy got a computer wife and a lifetime of humiliation. And while we're on the topic of Plankton, it would be the perfect time to talk about his wife, too, Karen. Since Karen was practically made by Plankton in his younger days, it's no-brainer to guess that Karen is definitely younger than Plankton. That is if we're not counting her CCTV days.
In those days, I was just starting out as a security system. Plankton and I met when he installed me.
Let's say Plankton built her in his early 20s. You know, right around the age a guy starts getting lonely after one too many years locked in a lab. That'd put Karen somewhere around late 30s, maybe even early 40s. Then again, the concept of old doesn't really apply to her since she's basically immortal. She could always update her software, as well as her broken parts. But yeah, still significantly older than SpongeBob. Okay, those two are about as straightforward as this gets. Our next guy, not so much. Now, despite being my favorite character, I'll be honest, Squidward gave me the biggest headache of anyone, because
Squidward. The dog Squidward. Hey. One of my dogs, one of my favorite characters. Bro, come on, bro. Golly, bro. Like, sheesh, bro.
The contradictions on this guy are everywhere. He's got no confirmed birthday in the show. Unfortunately, the closest lead comes from the SpongeBob SquarePants Annual 2014, one of those Egmont books which puts his birthday on October 9th, but naturally no year, so that only gets us halfway. Now, you'd think the answer is just, I don't know, middle-aged maybe? But people have tried. God, have they tried to get anything out of him. What we actually know for sure is that in episodes such as SpongeBob You're Fired or the original Fry Cook, Krabs says Squidward has seniority over SpongeBob. So, yeah, unsurprisingly, he's older than SpongeBob.
Oh yeah, we already knew Squidward was older than SpongeBob. Nah, he been there since, bro. Squidward been there since the other Fry Cook dude who was stepping on patties and stuff like that. I think his name was, I don't even know, Gene? Yeah, I think his name was Jimmy, Gene, whatever the dude name was. Jimmy or Gene, that was the dude name, and he was stepping on Krabby Patty's hair, and all that other stuff.
Everything beyond that fact is just an educated guess. There's a pretty common belief that Squidward started at the Krusty Krab around the same time as Jim, the legendary original
Jim.
Fry Cook, which would make him one of the very first employees of the Krusty Krab. But then, if the Krusty Krab opened after Krabs came home from the war, that's sometime in the 70s, and for Squidward to already be working there, he'd have to be at least 18, which would push his birth back into the early 60s. Yeah, I don't really buy it, to be honest. I mean, it kinda explains why he and Krabs get along, two guys roughly the same age, not to mention Pearl also calls him Uncle in some episodes.
Don't be jealous, Uncle Squiddy. I made one for you too.
It's just that if Squidward were really creeping towards 60, I feel so bizarre for knowing SpongeBob has spent the entire series relentlessly abusing a senior citizen next door every single day. No, they have to be closer than that. And as much as I'm avoiding bringing Camp Coral into this conversation, it did help me to get the best answer. You see, when SpongeBob and Patrick are shown to be 10 years old in Camp Coral, meanwhile, Squidward was already a teenager, and by the look of it, he can't be more than 10 years older than SpongeBob. And so, if SpongeBob is about 25 years old, Squidward is around 35 at the absolute most, which is the exact answer as everyone's, because when I went hunting for an actual birth year, the number that kept surfacing was October 9th, 1977, which would make I'm roughly 9 years older than SpongeBob. It's just that I can't seem to get the proof or the calculation as to why people decided it was 1977 and not the other. I don't know. So if any of you actually know where that year originated, please tell me, because it's quietly driving me insane. That being said, I think people will mostly agree he's somewhere in his 30s. Old enough to lord it over SpongeBob, young enough.
Yeah, low-key, I think this is what I think. SpongeBob and Patrick in their mid-20s. SpongeBob got to be like 25. Patrick definitely got to be like 26 or 27. He's older. Because SpongeBob look up to Patrick. Sometimes Patrick look up to SpongeBob. I'm not going to hold you. Squidward like got to be like 30-something. He like low-key.
That he really has no business being this miserable yet. As for Patrick's special, because everyone got impatient and just invented an answer for him. If you go to the wikis, and you'll see it stated like a fact, Patrick Star, born August 17th, 1984. And naturally, just like Squidward, it came from the same SpongeBob Annual 2014 book that gave us Squidward's birthday. Again, it's without year details, but more on that later. For now, at least we got a place to start. But then you go to a different set of fan sites, and it's July 19th, 1984.
Keyword fan site, so that's not true. This is the ages I think low-key everybody's low-key gotta be. Krabs gotta be in his 50s. Low-key 50, mid, like late 50, same as Plain. Sandy gotta low-key be like in her 20s too, low-key. She gotta be like 20, like, I said like 28. About to be pushing 30, low-key.
It's still the same year though, at least. And both of them have the exact same problem SpongeBob's license had. 1984 makes Patrick 15 when the show starts. A 15-year-old who owns a rock and lives alone? Which means SpongeBob is older than Patrick, except Camp Coral turns around and shows them as the same age, both 10 at camp, best friends since they were practically babies. So, Patrick's official birthday isn't in any episode. It can't agree with itself, and it contradicts the one canon fact we actually have about him. So, the honest answer here is, sadly, the boring one. Patrick's somewhere right around SpongeBob's age, 25 to 28-ish, and the show could not care less beyond that. I think he's whatever age the joke needs him to be that day, which for Patrick feels about right. Then there's Sandy. She's a proper adult, right? Grown woman. I would personally put her mid-20s to 30s. Again,
that's why I said mid-20s, 30s. Like, she's 28, pushing, about to be 30. And Squidward is low-key older than Sandy. Because there's really no past about, Sandy in Texas or in, like, younger Sandy and stuff like that, besides Camp Coral. And that's when, like, that's if it's canon and stuff like that. But in general, I'm going with my numbers that I got. Pro 16, but if the show is 2026, she's low-key, yeah, she's in her 20s now. She's in her 20s. And it's 2026. Squidward, and with the show been going on that long, SpongeBob should be like 30-something, along with Sandy should be like 30-something. Squidward should be like about to hit 40. He's about to hit 40. He's 39. And Krabs should be like 68 years old. That nigga is pushing it.
Some fan sites stated she was born November 17th, 1985. Pretty much the same with SpongeBob and Patrick. I think this one is pretty straightforward, except Sandy's the one that actually ruined my whole afternoon. And it's got nothing to do with her number. It's the fact that Sandy is a squirrel, and a squirrel only lives about 6 years. Yeah,
oh, wow.
SpongeBob's a sponge, which means he can live for centuries. So if the show actually ran in real time, the way 2 decades of episodes suggest, SpongeBob wouldn't have one friend named Sandy Cheeks. He'd have outlived generations of them. Like, the Sandy in Season 1 and the Sandy in Season 13 would not be the same squirrel. He'd have buried that whole family and just kept going. I think I'm getting too far with this.
Yeah, you get too
I don't think the writers meant that, but the math means it. And now you're thinking about it too. You're welcome. The next one? Haha, yes. Mrs. Puff. People estimate...
Oh, yeah, Mrs. Puff, oh. I ain't lying to you. Mrs. Puff, oh, she the same age as Eugene, man. You can't tell me that her and Mr. Krabs got into it and stuff. Like, nah, and she had different jobs at different works. Nah, Mrs. Puff been around the block with the job site. No, Mrs. Puff probably like mid-40, mid-50-ish.
40s.
Yeah,
50s maybe. Based on the information that she was born on January 12th, 1958 on some fandom. Again, it's just speculation. It kind of makes sense that she has quite an age gap with her new man, Mr. Krabs. Not to mention, she looked like she had a long teaching experience. But honestly, nobody's really trying to figure out Mrs. Puff's age. And I think I know why pretty fast. It's because once you start trying to search anything about her past, you stop caring about her age. This is a woman who has been to prison multiple times, whose husband, Mr. Puff, is canonically a lamp on someone's wall, because he got caught and turned into one, who has had genuine on-screen breakdowns about a teenage boy she can't stop failing. And then, not to mention, the whole criminal accusation on her name. I came for a number, I left needing to lie down. So Mrs. Puff's age is middle-aged, probably, and that is the least alarming fact about Mrs. Puff. We're moving on for both our sakes. Oh, and I can't leave out Gary, because Gary might be the funniest case of all. In Bikini Bottom, snails are pretty much...
Yeah, Gary is pretty old. I ain't gonna hold you. Gary been there since like the first episode, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, Gary is pretty old. No, Gary gotta be low key. Like if it's today, Gary gotta be low key like in dog and like cat dog years, like what 20, 30 something? And cat dog years though. Like, that's how I'm looking at it.
Treated as cats, as well as worms being treated as dogs. That's just natural, considering he always meows, lives with SpongeBob, and gets fed out of a can. So your first instinct is to put him on a pet years of age, maybe 2-3 years old, like a regular cat. Done. Except everyone says his birthday is November 27th, 1989, which, surprise, drags him into the exact same mess as SpongeBob and Patrick. And then it gets really silly, because the show can't even agree on where Gary came from. Plankton's pet says SpongeBob adopted him from the animal shelter. And then there's a possibility you get from episodes like Have You Seen This Snail? That SpongeBob has had Gary since he was practically a kid, raised him since he was tiny. If SpongeBob raised Gary from a baby snail, then Gary isn't a 2-year-old pet at all. He's been around almost as long as SpongeBob himself. So, which is it? Is he the cat? Is he the 1989 guy? Is he SpongeBob's lifelong childhood companion? Well, the answer, of course, is yes. All three, same time. Because he's Gary, and this show would rather meow at you than give you a straight number. The same could also be said for our senile duo.
Oh yeah, man. Boy, Barnacle Boy and Mermaid Man. 60s. 60 years old. Mermaid Man is, I'm confirmed, is 67 years old. Barnacle Boy is 62 years old. That's what I'm going with. Now, if you're talking about now, that's what I'm talking about now. But back then, number what I thought it was I thought Barnacle Boy, it was like 46 and 42. That's what I thought.
After all that squinting at licenses and doing snail math, let's talk about the one duo where the show actually wants you to know how old they are. Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. Because their old age is...
You know, it's really funny saying, TikTok really be saying, what Mermaid said, it's evil for wherever evil.
Practically their identity. These are two washed-up, retired superheroes rotting away in the Shady Shoals rest home. And here's the part I love. Barnacle Boy actually tells us his age out loud in an episode Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 5. He's 68. The boy qualifies for senior discounts, and he's still got boy in his name. As for Mermaid Man, it's still in the gray. Some say 72. Some say...
Well, this is now. But back then, I was close then. 64, 62, I was very close. So 68 and 73. I'm going with 73 or 75.
97. One fan page even floats a birth year of 1917, which, if you actually believe it, would have put him in the Navy around World War II. But nobody really knows, and the show couldn't care less, because Ancient and Senile covers it just fine. However, if there's anything that we could be so sure of, he has to be older than Barnacle Boy. I mean, he looked like he had more health problems than Barnacle Boy, so it's safe to assume. Here's the thing though, these two aren't even playing the same game as everyone else, because Mermaid and Barnacle Boy are two of the only actual humans in the show. with some superpowers, arguably. And maybe that's exactly why the show's so comfortable handing them real numbers. When there's no fish biology, no snail math, no weird sea creature lifespan to hide behind.
That
Age
do not look like
is just age.
That do not look like me. If y'all saying, "Hey, you're Christian," that look like you. That do not look like me.
Which, funny enough, makes them the second group this show is ever honest with about how old they are. The first one, well, it's none other than Pearl. After all of that, the fake lies...
Pearl right now, if the show going on, she's late 20s. Late 20s. That's serious.
The war trauma, the squirrel graveyard. There's exactly one character this show just tells us right away. Pearl turns 16 in whale of a birthday, and even if we want to stretch it for later seasons, she is still in her high school in season 16, Pigskin Pearl.
Damn! Come on, Nickelodeon, y'all gotta do better than that. Y'all could have been put her, like, got her graduated, going to college. What semester is she in? Did she fail the grade? Well, let me know. Who was writing this, man? I would have sent her off to college.
So, she can't be older than 17. And isn't that the whole story right there? The only people the show is willing to tell you straight are the kids or the elderly. But every other age in this town, the second you say it out loud, you'll find a war, a prison record, or a lifespan that doesn't survive contact with a calendar. So the show just doesn't say them, and I don't think that's lazy writing. I think that's the writers being smarter than us. Now, here's where I landed after all this. I wanted everyone in Bikini Bottom to have a number, and the show kept telling me no! Simply because every honest answer would have broken the joke. You can't laugh at crabs being cheap if you're picturing the war. You can't enjoy Sandy and SpongeBob's friendship if you're counting squirrel funerals. So maybe the ambiguity of their age serves as their own mercy, ironically. So, how old is everyone in SpongeBob? Old enough that you really, really shouldn't ask. And
But hey, who knows though? You know, whatever you think in your mind and what is the ages, hey, you just believe it, because they not gonna tell it no time soon. But hey, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow our social media. They pop on the screen. We was on the road to 500, and I'm out.